Hi, I'm Dr. Bodzioch from Atlantic Chiropractic in Stoneham, Mass, your posture doc. And today we're going to talk about slouching. So I'm sure when you were a kid, your parents used to always get on your case about, don't slouch, Tom. Sally, keep your shoulders back. Sam, you're relaxing in your seat and your shoulders are really getting rounded. Okay? So slouching is indicated as to sit or stand in a drooping position with excessive relaxed position. So I kind of question the excessive relaxed position, because a lot of times when we're in these patterns, okay, our muscles are really contracted. So I don't know how one clarifies that as being relaxed, but obviously they do in Webster's dictionary. Okay? So first and foremost, patterns. Okay, patterns are something that we do repetitively, continuously, and we essentially imitate them over a period of time. Okay, in most instances. Consequently, we have good patterns and poor patterns. Okay, and essentially, we as human beings, that's all we're made up of, right? Is patterns. So, what we need to do is then obviously is find good patterns to download into our machine here versus bad patterns. Okay, and one of these bad patterns is that slouching position. So what we're talking about is poor patterns with slouching. And the first thing that develops with poor patterns is chronic whole back pain. All right? So, again, what we're looking for is alignment in this structure, right? Postural alignment versus postural misalignment. So, postural alignment is not what? Rotations or torques or turns. They're not buckles, right? They're alignment. So one spinal joint sitting on top of the other. So right off the bat, right, when your head's forward and your shoulders are forward, and that's slouching, you're loading and irritating areas in the structure that shouldn't be loaded or irritated. So again, remember, going back to this, our past information here, again, the strength of a straight line is derived by a number of curves squared plus. So what we want, the guy upstairs put 4 curves in our structure. Those 4 curves dissipate or spread out the tension. So if we're up over our center of gravity and those 4 curves are intact, those curves are dissipating or spreading out those tensions. Okay? So when our head goes forward, our shoulders go forward, we're reversing curves, causing loss of curves. Now they're not dissipating that stress, and now it's being localized or carried in one area. So the second thing it's going to cause is what? Frequently pinched nerves. Frequently pinched nerves, why? Because the joints move into an abnormal position. Remember, these spinal joints are housing for the spinal cord and the actual peripheral nerves that go out of this spinal cord. So when there's misalignments or postural distortions, there's pressure on the nerves. Because there's pressure on the nerve, you're going to feel it in different areas, right? So a lot of times neck irritations involve tingling in your fingertips, or spasms in the shoulders, or spasms in the scapula blades, or tight trapezius or shoulder muscles. All right? So again, remember, your nerves are like your coach, right? The coach is directing the team or your hardware. If there's irritation on those messages, instructions, and directions, and the actual message is weakened, the instructions weaken because of these postural distortions, then the actual function of the organ, muscle, and tissue glands will be irritated. Okay. Third thing is cervical spine problems. What's cervical spine problems? Is neck, right? Cervical is neck. So a lot of people we see in the clinic are their heads going forward, they have a loss of curve, they have a military neck straight up and down, or they have a reverse curve as a consequence to that. Developing humpback or kyphosis, or camel hump or buffalo hump, right? Just another analogy for that hump. This is getting really common, okay? Because people are sitting more, especially with the virus. You're doing Zoom. Your head's forward, your shoulders are forward. These thoracic cages are all coming forward. And what's the response? Again, just like the clip we did, heart problems, lung situations. Because the cage or the sternum or your chest is getting compressed. Okay? Neck pain, right? So irritation in that neck, recurring headaches. Why, right? Upstairs, C1, C2, is your suboccipital triangle. These nerves go upstairs in the cranium. So again, when there's no curve, all the stress starts sitting right at the base of that neck. Really common migraine headaches, tension headaches. Okay? Nerve stress is producing those headaches. Sleep issues. Okay? If that neurology is wound up in a sympathetic state, then you can't sleep, not uncommon. That's the first thing we see in here when we start new patients. We start adjusting them. That neurology starts getting unwound, okay, and they're starting to sleep better. Okay, so essentially there's two ways we can approach your work, right? Either in a standing position or a seated position. Okay, so when you're standing at your workstation, keep the weight of your body mainly on the balls of your feet. Okay, so you don't want to sit back. You want to sit way forward. Essentially, you want to feel your weight distributed on the balls of your feet. As far as your knees, have your knees slightly bent so some of that tension can be dissipated through your legs, essentially. As far as your feet are concerned, your feet should be about shoulder width apart. You should be standing straight up so your head sitting up over your center of gravity. Your stomach should be tucked in, okay? And not too much like you're really trying to contract it or whatnot, but try to keep that stomach tucked in. And like I said, just keep your head. So if you're looking down, try to raise things so your head's sitting up over your shoulders consistently. Okay? So that's in a standing position. One more point. If you're looking down at your screen, raise your screen, right? So looking at that screen should be either level or even up. Okay? When the head drops back, that curve increases, and if the head drops back, the shoulders drop back, and that's puts you up over your center of gravity that much easier. Second option you got here is seated position, right? In a seated position, when you're seated, make sure both feet are on the floor. Don't cross your feet, right? Don't sit on your foot. Don't sit on your knee. Keep your feet on the ground. Maintain about, a small gap between the back of the chair and where you're sitting also. And that really depends. If you have a lumbar support, obviously you're going to be straight up against that chair because that lumbar support is supporting or giving some stability to that low back. So it really depends on what kind of chair you got going on here. Keep the knees aligned. And make sure your shoulders stay relaxed, okay? Don't start taking all this tension up in the shoulders, okay? And that's a sure sign is when your shoulders go up into your ears, okay? So you're creating some tension up here in the shoulder and the neck and the base of that neck that the shoulders are getting pulled up into your earlobes. So you can't even see that neck, okay? So that's a real sure sign of that tension being carried up in your neck. And again, last but not least, head, right? Make sure the earlobe is up over your shoulder. And again, make sure you're looking either that it's level or your head's tilted up, looking up at that screen a little bit. Okay? And just remember, right, in a seated position, that lumbar curve is flattened out by 20 to 30%. So you're automatically going to create a little more tension in a seated position because these curves are flattening as vertical gravity is pushing down on you. Versus in a standing position, those curves have a little more integrity against vertical gravity. Okay? So just remember these distinctions in regards to your slouching positions and how to avoid them, seated versus standing. We'd love to check out Atlanta Chiropractic. Please help us out. I love doing these videos. And if you could please hit the subscribe button and become a follower of ours, we'd love to. We really love that, and we'd really appreciate that. Okay? Give us a shout. We'd love to check you out. Our number is 781-GET-WELL. And you check our website. We have a video channel also. Again, thank you for your time to watch this. We really appreciate it. Until next time, the power that made the body heals the body. There is no other. Have a great day.